Between the constant notifications, the high-speed news cycle, and the pressure of a career, modern life can feel like a marathon with no finish line. There's a baseline sense that we are perpetually behind, struggling to keep our heads above water. We usually blame our technology for this feeling of chronic overwhelm, but this internal exhaustion is actually a very old human problem. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius faced a crumbling empire and the deaths of his own children. At the same time, a man named Epictetus was navigating life with a crippled leg after being born into slavery. Both lived in a world of literal chaos and war. Without modern safety nets, they survived by building a protective mental framework. They realized that while they couldn't control the world, they could command how they processed it. Their writings outline 5 specific observations that serve as a practical defense system. Applying these principles today allows us to identify and remove most of our self-inflicted daily problems. Most of our energy today is spent on things happening light years away from us, tracking global trends, worrying about political shifts, and agonizing over what strangers think. This creates our first major problem. We feel paralyzed by the state of the world. We burn our willpower trying to solve massive, distant issues, leaving us with nothing left for the tasks right in front of us. To fix this, Epictetus taught a principle called the dichotomy of control. You have to realize that this small inner circle contains the only things actually up to you: your thoughts, your impulses, and your own choices. Everything else, your reputation, your body, and the actions of others, lives in that massive outer circle. Epictetus's mandate was simple. If a problem is in that outer circle, you should look at it and say, "This is nothing to me." By centering your focus on what you actually command, you regain your capacity to act. Even when we focus on ourselves, we often get exhausted by the what-ifs. We play out worst-case scenarios for next week or next year, suffering through imaginary disasters before they even happen. Marcus Aurelius observed that an event by itself is neutral. The pain you feel comes from the opinion you choose to attach to that event. Anxiety is a choice made by the imagination. If you refuse to project a catastrophic opinion onto an unknown future, it cannot harm you. We also tend to play the waiting game. We put off our health, our growth, or our goals, assuming we have an infinite supply of tomorrows to get things right. This assumption breeds chronic procrastination. We treat time as something we can afford to waste. This timeline shows just how fleeting our window actually is. The past is gone, and the future is not guaranteed. Marcus Aurelius described life as a mere exhalation of blood. Epictetus was even more direct. He demanded that his students enter the combat of life immediately. But even when we do act, we often feel derailed by failure. When a well-made plan is ruined by bad luck, our instinct is to play the victim. Aurelius taught a mental pivot to handle this. He believed that a strong mind should consume an obstacle the way a great fire consumes whatever you throw into it. If something blocks your path, overcoming that specific blocker becomes the path itself. The obstacle is no longer in your way. It is your new objective. Because our time is scarce, we have to act now. When an unexpected problem appears, it provides the necessary direction and momentum for that action. We all have those low points where it feels like our life is objectively bad. We become convinced that the weight we feel is a factual reality. This happens because we confuse our temporary emotions of sadness or anger with objective truth. Epictetus taught that these intense thoughts are just semblances, impressions that trick you into feeling a certain way, but they are not the real thing. You have to practice calling out a false semblance to strip it of its power. When a dark thought strikes, identify it as a mere opinion and examine the neutral facts underneath. Everything we experience is filtered through the mind. If you change how you process your thoughts, you instantly change the reality of your situation. This logic isn't a cure-all. Physical illness, true loss, and real tragedy are a part of life. These things are heavy, and they are real. This chart contrasts that small portion of unavoidable hardship with the massive volume of distress we manufacture ourselves. Most of the exhaustion we feel, from social anxiety to road rage, lives only in our opinions of the world. Since this manufactured suffering exists only in our minds, it is within our power to dismantle it. When you feel overwhelmed, stop. Strip away your opinions. Focus only on what you control and move directly into the obstacle. Your time is far too limited to spend it anywhere else.